On today's video, I'm going to share with you how we spend our ordinary days here at the farmstead. Each day always begins with milking one of our dairy cows. At the moment, we're milking 2 young cows. This is actually their first time to be milked. This is their second lactation, and they really done great. I've used them in some videos on how to train calves, and they are just champs at being milk cows. They love their job. They're really relaxed. Really such a joy to milk a cow that really loves her job. I always, this is a Monday morning, and I always milk, and I have a lot of chores to do around the dairy. So I use Monday morning as my time blocked time to clean up the milking stanchion area, also to give the milk room a thorough cleaning. I like to wipe everything down, wipe all the handles, all the faucets, and also I like to clean the floor. Now, we date our milk. We only milk once a day, so we only have to put one date, and I always clean the filter. The filter will always tell you a lot about how healthy your milk is. One thing, when I'm cleaning up in the milk room, I use a dairy brush or just a brush. It works so much better than using a sponge. I think I must have learned this back when I had raw milk dairy. And I really only use vinegar to clean my milk equipment, but I always clean it very quickly after I use it. And I really don't ever use any harsh cleaners. So here's our bulk tank. We bought that back when we had the raw milk dairy, and I love it. It holds 30 gallons. We really don't use it much anymore because it's just Mr. Roofer and I, but maybe one day. So if you are fortunate enough to put it in a milk room, it's a really good idea to put a drain in the floor. Also, as you can see, the floor is really slanted, and we have a hot water heater in there that has a separate faucet that we can put a hot water hose hooked up. And I have these hooks on the ceiling, and I can just move the hose. It's very hot water, but I can move it all around, and I can scrub the floor every week. And it is just really, really efficient. It doesn't take me but just a few minutes every week to keep this milk room very clean. So I have been making a lot of cheese. I bought this cheese press, I think in, the mid 2005, something like that. I always like to boil my cheesecloth, and I like to put it over my cheese press so it'll warm it up a little bit. Now I let it cool down, but I do think the hot water will help you keep your curds warm, and that they'll meld together, easier. So then I put it over a colander, and I try to keep all of the whey that I can that drains off, because I'll put it on my garden, or we'll use it sometimes, as you can see, the full strength. This is a Gouda cheese, a wash curd cheese. You just have to, with cheese making, part of learning is when the curds are ready to go in the press. So see the texture. If you can learn that, then that's one of your main things that you need to know in cheese making. So speaking of cheese making, I am so fortunate, as the day that you're seeing this video, I am headed to go to a hard cheese class at Homestead Heritage in Waco, Texas. Now, I've been to their cheese classes before, back in the 2005, 2006, 2007, but I wanted to go for a refresher, and they have this new cheese cave, and I have always wanted to see it, and they let the students go visit the cheese cave. So I am super excited about that, and hopefully I will learn some tips that I did not know before. But I've been making cheese, and I just make, everything you just have to simplify, because, as I've told you before, I don't babysit my cheese or my sourdough. I'm much too busy. I kind of, my workflow is kind of like the Pioneer workflow. They could not spend too much time on one task. They kind of had to do them all and keep moving throughout their day. So I really, after I've gone through all the trouble to make cheese, I really want my cheese to be very beautiful. And I am careful when I am putting it into the press. I bought a little small level. It's actually used for construction, and I will put it on my cheese press right there, and it really, really helps. I can't help it. Not that I'm such a perfectionist, but I do take great pride in for my work to be very beautiful. Okay, I want to show you this sourdough. So I just mixed this dough together, and I want to show you that I just barely mix it together, make sure all the flour is incorporated, but I in no way, the first, mixing make it a smooth dough. It's just kind of pointless to me because it needs to hydrate. So here is a dough that's been setting, I like to do about 30 minutes, and I'm starting stretching folds. And it looks like I forgot to put my water to dip my hands in, so I've gone to get my water. And if you'll see, if you'll just wait just 30 minutes, all you've got to do is a few stretch and folds, and you will have a smooth, beautiful dough. So there's really no point in fighting your dough when you're mixing it. We have large Sunday dinners at least once a month, and my kids love homemade tortillas. Now, I ground Sonora wheat, which is a very old style wheat. I got this from Barton Springs Mill in Dripping Springs, Texas. My little friend Amber is here rolling out tortillas for Sunday lunch. Okay, now I want to show you. This bread dough is ready to shape, and I want to show you how I do that. Shaping your sourdough is very important. That is actually almost has everything to do with how your oven spring will be and the size of your loaf, how much it'll rise. So super important. Okay, after I shape, I like to cover it for about 20 minutes before I do a final shaping and put it in its Banneton basket. Now I'm gonna get some sourdough cinnamon rolls started. My recipe is really, really simple, but it is very delicious and fluffy. I do not use as much butter and sugar as most people in their dough. I like a less sweet dough, and I save my sugar allotment for the day in the filling and the icing. But in a few weeks, I'm going to, or sometime this fall, I'm going to show you how I make sourdough cinnamon rolls. And of course, super easy. You can easily fit them in your schedule with no stress whatsoever. And you know, everything I do is actually that way. So if those of you new to my channel, I raised 5 children. They're 31 down to 22 right now. So I do have, I guess, about 33 years of homemaking experience. Okay, now we're ready to do a final shaping of our sourdough bread. I make a tartine style sourdough that's, you know, with a large hydration. So, but I've been doing it a long time, but probably if you're just new to sourdough, you should probably make a dough that has, you know, less hydration because they're easier to shape. So I just use just a little bit of flour when I'm shaping. I love having a bench scraper, makes it really easy. This technique is called stitching. So I did sprinkle, I use white rice flour to sprinkle my vanilla basket to keep the dough from sticking. Okay, I'm just sprinkling a little flour over the bread. I cover it with a tea towel, and then I bought these 2-gallon Ziploc bags, and they work really, really well. I just, you know, they hold a basket perfectly, and I can close them, and this is going to go into the refrigerator until tomorrow because I never usually mix the dough and bake it in the same day. So here we are the next day, and usually I don't bake until the evening. I usually don't do it the next morning because unless I'm planning on having company for lunch. Even though Mr. Roofer and I are now retired, we still lead a very active agrarian lifestyle. In the Bible, there's a scripture, it's 1 Thessalonians 4:11, that says, "And to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, you should mind your own business and work with your hands just as we told you." So Mr. Roofer and I, we try to follow this verse and stay very busy moving forward with our farmsteading life. Okay, here are the cinnamon rolls that you saw me mix the dough for. I sometimes will make them in a 9x13 casserole dish if I want to cover it or if I'm taking them somewhere. Weekly I usually make mozzarella. Okay, just about every morning and evening, Mr. Roofer and I go pick okra and cream peas out in our large garden. This is one thing, even though we are in severe drought, that is growing really, really well and actually looks, very beautiful. So those are kind of the main items in our diet. I've talked about that we eat a real simple in-season diet. We try to keep things, simple and not complicated because we have so many tasks of the day. We just cannot, do things or add things in our life that are real complicated. Usually after I pick, I usually will pause for a moment and go over to Farmstead House. Now this is our off-grid home. It's a 1870s German rock home on one side. This is the addition side that you're seeing, but it's a really beautiful view and I like to sit for just a minute and rest. So one thing that's happening right now, because we are in such severe heat and drought, is unfortunately we're having to already feed hay. So this is just for the dairy cows. The dairy cows are the only cows that live on the farm with us. The other cattle live off on ranches. But this is really, really busy. This takes Mr. Roofer a lot of time to go through, and they're hungry. They're not even going out grazing right now, which is really scary, thinking that we're in September and going into fall and we're already feeding. And we do have quite a few mouths to feed around the farm. So we have 4 yearling heifers that we're really proud of. They're going to be really good milk cows, but we have to take excellent care of them. We will not breed them until they're around 2 years old. So our cows don't always have a calf until they're 3 years old, because the way we calve, we only calve in the spring, and we don't really want to have them bred when they're 12 months. Okay, part of being a rancher and having a beef business is Mr. Roofer, in September every year, he has to start going around to his cattle, his beef cattle, and he has to start weighing them. And he has to keep a very close eye on that because they're being processed, I think, at the end of November. And they have to, stay around a targeted weight. And since we're in drought right now, we're really gonna have to keep an eye on it. One thing that I've showed you on our channel is that a lot of beef content, because if you're a homesteader, or just everyone needs to source their beef from a local rancher these days. You need to know how your rancher raises cattle. We use regenerative agriculture.
As you can see, it's extremely dry and extremely hot. We brought a few of our very best cows with our best calves over. This pasture's been laying out for about 3 months. Maybe they'll do a whole lot better.
One thing always happening around the farmstead is construction. So right now, Mr. Roofer just added on this beautiful new bathroom on a building on our property for one of our sons, and he used salvage materials. I love it, and I will give you a tour of it later. Now he's also building a RV cover for our Airstream. So Mr. Roofer is a one-man show. Mr. Roofer and I are going to enjoy some pizza made with sourdough discard and blackberry cobbler for dessert from our farm-raised blackberries. So delicious. One thing we do eat simply, but we eat very, very well. Remember, your life is a summation of these ordinary days, so make each day count. From our Texas farmstead to you, have a blessed week, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.